week's topic is about starting your own Excel blog. I often get questions, and I'm sure you do too. All of us have blogs here about how to start your very own Excel blog. So, Dick, what do you think? I come to you. I say I want to start blogging on Excel. What do people care about? What should I write about? Or should I just write whatever I want?
Yeah.
What would you do? What advice would you give?
Well, all I can say is what I do is I write what I I've thought a while ago. I realized that I'm kind of an office politician more than is sort of what I am, and I talk about issues and things I don't like and things I really do like at a high level, right? Based on all my experience. So I'm just drilling a hole in my head and letting all my knowledge fall into this blog, right? Generically, if you're a younger person, you could do the same thing and talk about it. I know everybody thinks that the whole thing is around tips and tricks, and I'm not the biggest fans of that. I'm a fan of the old, who was it, Malcolm Gladwell, who had this theory that you got to spend 20,000 hours on something before you're an expert. Well, I'm that guy, right, that I believe you have to do 10 million spreadsheets to really, in hundreds of different businesses to really understand it. Because it's actually harder than a database. A database, in some ways, is just a question of determining the process flows and building tables and relationships. Spreadsheets they're all over the place, right? Every spreadsheet is a snowflake, right? And so you can show people tips and tricks, and fine. But what about this? And what about that situation? What about that situation? I'm not sure how. So you could do a blog that talks about those issues.
I think we all sort of think about that a lot, because when I started my blog, I started with tips, and now I just have very long-winded opinions about things, which with the tip sort of woven in. But now and I know Oz and I have talked about this, about not doing just more than what everyone else does. What do you think, Oz? I mean, someone says I want to start a blog out. What do I write about? What do you write about? That sort of stuff. How do you answer?
Well, what I start out with is Chris Brogan's A Primer for Blogging. Okay, I've shared that out so much. And he's got 21 rules, and number 20 is you're doing it wrong, so is everyone. So that's like, lighten up. Just blog.
Do it.
Just do it. But there's some things to watch out for. You got this big burning idea, and you're behind the scenes writing this epic blog post that you want everybody to read drafts of. So wait a minute. With a blog, it's longevity. And you are not going to have longevity if you are starting out, trying to write epic blog posts out of the gate. And so that's where a lot of bloggers do fail, is they've got these first 3 that they've published over 3 months, and the blog is dead.
Exactly. Like I wrote one big, huge blog once, and every day 100 people go to that. It's called How to Manage Connections in Power Pivot Using Data Connections in Excel, which is, for some reason, I'm the only person, not really, who figured it out. Other people have commented on it, but I was first. But the fact is, ever since then, my blogs, I try to keep them readable, in a nice read. You guys all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't finish all your points, have another blog that goes on to the next point, right? That's the most important.
So your experience is consistent with my experience, Dick. I found that even on Excel TV, even on that blog, which is only, we've only really put focus on it for about 6 months or so, the ones that are the most popular are the ones that are the ones that are the most in depth, where you could tell the person who was writing it, whether it was Oz or Jordan or me, they put a lot of passion into it. There's a lot of screenshots. There's a lot of, and people go to those. I mean, so there's like a handful of those, and those are just, you could tell your heart was put into it, right?
But you can't do that all the time.
That's my point, though. Right. So that's the once every 3 month kind of blog post, and if you, for us, that's about the way it comes out, where you're passionate. But for the most part, a good portion of them are just hey, here's 4 paragraphs on what I think about this. Here's some screenshots. Here's something that goes along with the video. Here's something, And so, I mean, it's like trying to put out a #1 hit every single time, every single week. That's tough. But there are some strategies that I found to be useful for people who are just starting out in this, right? And so I've started out, a few of these. And first off, write those first few posts where you have your passion and you have you start to make a name for yourself. What I found, there's a difference between writing what you're passionate about, which is a good portion of it, and the more you can do that, the best. But you also kind of need to pay the bills. And so once you've written enough of what you're passionate about, what I like to do is go to any of my stats that I can find and find what it is that Google is searching on whenever they find me. Not what I wish they would find me for. Not keyword research and what I wish they would find me for and that sort of thing. What are they finding me for today that they're passionate about, and they're finding me for those things, and then how can I expand on that?
Right. Yep.
And start to, so I almost kind of create a silo about something and just start expanding on that. So if they're finding me about drop downs, or they're finding me about Monte Carlo, or they're finding me about et cetera, where can I start to build on that and start to build?
Run with it.
Exactly. And that, to your point, Dave, that can turn into 5 blog posts or so. And so, think about your content, think about the people who are already coming to you and what they're coming to you for.
Can I make? Oh, go ahead, Oz.
Well, there's one thing about that around analytics and what people are coming to the blog for, and I had to make some decisions because tips and tricks, those early blog posts that I did, they continue to generate the most traffic. But I couldn't sustain that and stay engaged myself. So my blog, for me, has been discovery of what I give a damn about.
That's all you should do.
Yeah, and so when I start thinking about, that's where I really got clear. Excel is a tool. And if you are bad at everything else that you are trying to serve with that tool, then the tool doesn't matter.
Yep.
So, like, do you get up off your ass and go figure out why this data is wrong? Mm-hmm. Ask somebody some questions. Are you scared of these people or what? That's what makes for a good analyst. And then the tool can be in service of all of that. And that only came about by what did I get fired up about, separate from what Google Analytics might suggest I should be writing about.
I know. I understand what Rick meant by that.
Oh yeah, I get it too. And so I don't disagree with that necessarily.
It's what people care about, right? So that's true.
Right, and you
throw in one more thing, and then I'll jump over to you, Jordan. I'm sorry I cut you off there.
No problem.
And one other thing that I found to be useful, and I've heard this from Minda Tracy and a few other people as I've been trying to kind of find my voice, I guess, is find your voice. I've heard this from quite a few people. Their names escape me right now.
You should find your voice.
Show some personality. Show who you are. Everything doesn't have to read like a damn textbook.
Amen.
And you see a lot of that when you go over to you go over to Dick's blog. His most recent blog post. You get an idea of what he thinks about. This is Dick's house. And you get an idea of what it's about. And you go unless it's a real technical sort of thing, you get an idea of what I think about, and you'll hear some Southern slang and all that sort of stuff, and you get a lot of that over, with Oz as well. So don't be afraid to show some personality.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Jordan, sorry, you were going to make a point. You've been.
Yeah. No, this is such a great topic. We all have things we want to put in. So here's what I'll say, because a lot of people really say, well, what should I start out writing? And I think we all just sort of start out just sort of dumping the things like examples that we've done from our own work. But the real thing, when I think of content generation, I say, what articles do you wish existed? Because when you search for them, they didn't exist, because there's probably someone like you out there. So just do that. And I think because it's coming from you and your voice is going to be expressed through that. And then you're still in service of the community, which that is the trade-off, whether you do the silo search engine stuff. I'm not good at that. Rick is. That's why he does a good job on our website. But or do you do your own stuff? And it's really just a mixture of both. You can't go, you can be too self-indulgent and too audience-serving in both ways.
The question I have is,
finding your voice.
Why would somebody want to have a blog? I have a blog because I was mad as hell and I wasn't going to take it anymore, basically. And I wanted to express my opinions on things that pissed me off. Right? My wife always, when I'm writing a blog, she says, "What are you doing?" "I'm writing my blog post." "Is it going to make any money?" "Very good point, wife." Right. And so I don't blog as much as I'd like. I've actually found one client from my blog. Okay. One client. A very large shoe manufacturer in Switzerland booked me and paid me a total of 2,500 euros for some consulting help. That was it. And then I got a humongous contract over the last 4 years, actually, now I think about it, with another company where one of my disciples called me, sent me an email and said, "Dick, this company's looking for you." So you're right, that actually was one. And it's turned into a huge client for that. That's why I was in Europe for a good part of this year. So don't think of it as a way to make money, because one thing you're doing, you're usually preaching to the choir, and you're also preaching to your competitors. I would love to have a blog which the people who went to the blog were all business decision makers. How do you get that, right? That's what, we need to somehow connect us to business decision makers. That's the thing. If you guys want to come up with something, that's the thing, sort of like a clearinghouse of ideas. Because when we talk to each other, there's a rude phrase about a bunch of guys in a circle. But anyway, that's the phrase that sometimes comes to mind when we all talk to each other. That's why I don't go to conferences unless they're paying me to speak, right? Or flying me someplace interesting, right? Like Australia, where I spoke. Because I don't want to sit around and talk to a bunch of guys who do what I do. Because they're my competitors. But I believe that what I think will affect all of us, so that's why I blog. Because I think I'm willing to fall on the sword in the interest of a better use of this technology for clients, for all of us, for young people who are coming into the business, and even for Microsoft.
Right.
They sure don't like me telling them how to run their business.
I'd like to make one more point here real quick, and then Oz, I'd like to ask you to go ahead and get set up for the tips. So, as we get a chance to talk to a lot of people who are in the industry, and we talked to Chandu, and I heard this from Chandu, and I heard this from Minda Tracy over at My Lawn Training Hub, and they said, sometimes it takes me 2 days or more to get a blog post together. Everybody just assumes that I know all this stuff, and it's just flowing from me like a river. Yeah. And the truth is, a lot of times I'm doing a lot of research, and I'm figuring this out, and I'm figuring it out as I'm teaching it. And so don't think that you need to know everything to start writing. Don't think you need to know everything to start having a voice. You're going to learn. That'll be the best way. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You really want to learn something, prepare yourself to teach it.
But only learn something you think is going to make you money.
There you go.
Well, and the thing is to realize that it's not fast. It is a lot of work. It can take days to do. So generating, taking on writing a blog, it is some effort. And the last thing I'll share is, technically, if you're running your own blog, don't get something complicated that's got a marquees and sliders and all kind of other things going on, because you got to maintain that shit. And when you got all that stuff going on in the background and something crashes, now you got to find out which one of these plug-ins brought my site down.